I'm joined by Banco Pastor's Deputy General Manager, Susana Quintas Veloso. Susana, thank you so much for coming here. There's so much concern still regarding the Spanish banking sector. Do you feel that with these tests and with this additional requirement, actually the international community can sleep better at night?
Well, I think so. Actually, I think it's 10% core tier 1 is quite a good core for non-listed banks, and 8% from our side. Banco Pastor has 8.5%. It has always been a strategic issue for us to reinforce capital, and in our new strategic plan, we also plan to reinforce it organically to get to over 9.5% by 2013. So that should be comfortable for investors.
And especially, I mean, you don't have any funding problems. Banco Pastor doesn't have any funding problems, but the bank has given a lot of your banks about 15 days to come up with certain papers. Is that too short a time? Would you be concerned if, because it's just 2 weeks effectively?
Well, basically, from our point of view, I mean, we just have 4% of our funding maturing this year in 2011, so this makes us feel comfortable. But it's true that it's a lot of funding, institutional funding maturities in the Spanish financial institutions, so maybe it can be a little bit short.
Now, the current landscape present opportunities for Banco Pastor. For example, would you be looking at buying some of the weaker cajas?
Well, basically, we think that we are about to see one in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah. So we are considering it very seriously, and the 3 conditions. One of them, of course, is that we keep the controlling interest. The second one is that it doesn't deteriorate our ratio significantly, and that it's viable. So it makes sense. But we are studying it very seriously. And
this would be to be funded how? Through just a swap or an outright takeover?
Really, it's too soon to know, because this is so recent. It's only been 2 weeks that we know that the whole sector will be restructuring, so it's too soon. But I think we have to find a way, to make things look accretive for the shareholder, which is our interest, of course.
Susana Quintas, is there at this moment in time, I know it's early, but is there a cajas that looks of better value than something else? Have you already identified some of the better opportunities?
Yes, but I cannot be specific with the names, because you have to kiss many frogs before you find your handsome prince. And
that's a great analogy. How many banks will there be in 4 or 5 years in Spain? If I
How many banks? I don't think banks will be very much affected. I mean, the core of the restructuring has taken place in the cajas. There used to be 45. Now there's 17, and probably they will be reduced into half or merged with banks or becoming banks.
And do you think that in the next year all of these problems will be left behind? When can Spain actually start rebuilding itself?
Well, I think Spain has done impressive reforms in the last 6 months, and I think that the market should start looking at this. Apparently the cajas problem will be solved by September, and all these changes in regulation for employment, also the pension reform, I think they're very important for Spain. And then there's this political unrest in Egypt, and the Mediterranean coast can be really good for Spain, for tourism, but also for the real estate to recover.
Of course, because people will decide to go to Spain instead of some of the countries affected by the unrest. Are you concerned at all that you are on the acquisition trail, but will you yourself become an acquisition target because Banco Pastor is quite small?
Yes, but I don't think it has to do with size. It has to do with your financial ratios. And we have the second best core tier 1, the best liquidity among peers, and something that is quite differential and outstanding. We've done our homework for the crisis. 100% of our NPLs are covered by 2010. So this means that in 2011 we just have to provision for new entries.
So again, you can just come out of this crisis on your own without even a strategic alliance or a partner?
I think we will become a lot stronger.
Susana Quintas, what's your biggest concern for this year?
Well, biggest concern obviously is net interest margin, because apparently the war of deposits is, slowing down. It's very good news, we've seen that, but because of all these maturities in the funding markets, if funding markets do not reopen, it can impact again the cost of the deposits. So it would affect net interest. That's our main concern.
Susana Quintas, thank you so much. Great to have an inside view of what's happening in Spain.